Yes, good morning to all of you. We are almost in the last part of what is known as the natural resources. In this, the last part appears to be uh, much more interesting, relevant, and vital in the given scenario. Because today we are discussing about the energy resources. All of you know that energy has become a key parameter for progress. Actually, any country, if you want to say whether it is developed or underdeveloped, just based on the per capita energy consumption. So, as a result, this energy consumption or the utilization of the energy has become a very key factor, especially after the Industrial Revolution. Every year, the energy consumption, per capita energy consumption on a global scale as well as in our country also increasing at an alarming rate or at an exponential rate, we can say that. So that's why understanding these energy resources, what are the different type of energy resources, what are the advantages and disadvantages of utilizing these energy resources, and what is the availability of these resources, all those things are to be discussed in this class, probably with the help of some uh, templates. I will be happy to discuss all these things. So, the very first question that comes in our mind is what is energy? To make it very simple, I can say that energy is nothing but the capacity to do work. If you are able to do any work, it is because of your energy. Not only the work that we do in our outer world, within our body also, to carry out the various vital activities of life, we need energy. So that's why it is the capacity to work. Suppose if you have more energy, certainly you can do more work. That is this one. And before talking about the other aspects of energy, I would like to clear one thing. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. You cannot create energy at the same time you cannot destroy energy. What is possible is we can change this energy from one form to another. For example, if we have electrical energy, we can make the fan to run so that get converted into mechanical energy. This is how energy can be converted from one form to another, but you cannot create energy or you cannot destroy energy. So here, the energy resources. What are these energy resources then? From where we will get the energy? Mostly, or I can say that we get the energy from the resources. That means anything which can produce heat over our life, move our object, produce electricity. These are the energy resources. A matter which can store energy, we call it as fuels because we know the fuel and we use the fuel to get energy. So then what is fuel? It is a matter which can store energy that we call it as fuel. With this brief introduction, I would like to move on to the classification of energy. Basically, the energy can be classified into two categories, renewable and non renewable. It is also called as conventional and non conventional. What is this renewable energy and non renewable energy? Or let me take non-renewable energy first because it is the conventional energy, and renewable energy the next because it is a non-conventional energy. So I have given some of the photographs here. What are non-renewable energy? Fossil fuels, coal, nuclear power, natural gas, or starting. All of them are non-renewable energy resources. That means we have a limited stock of this. Once we exploit this or empty these fuels, they are no more available for the future. Whereas the other one, non-renewable energy, renewable energy, it's a non-conventional energy also what we can. This energy, it can be renewed. It's an unlimited stock sometime, or sometime we will be able to generate these resources within a shorter span of time. So that is the major difference between non-renewable and renewable energy. So this renewable energy resources which can be renewed again to again at a faster rate in the nature. So that's why they are called as renewable energy resources. What are these renewable? For example, solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, biomass, geothermal energy. There are so many such energy forms are there which we will be able to regenerate or renew at a very faster rate. That's very, very important. So that's why, see here, non-renewable, also known as non-conventional, renewable, non-conventional, and non-renewable, they are known as conventional. What are these non-conventional? They are your solar, water, wind, biomass, geothermal. There are so many forms. Whereas the conventional energy is mainly coal, oil, natural gas, nuclear energy. This comes under non-renewable. See, I was talking in the very beginning, I have made it clear. There is a growing energy demand in the world. But and approximately 80% of the energy that we utilize comes from fossil fuels. Why? What are these fossil fuels? Petroleum, coal, these are the major fossil fuel or natural gas. Why they are called as fossil fuels? Because some millions or billions of years ago, the vegetation, animals got buried and converted very slowly into this either coal or petroleum or natural gas. So they are fossil, but they are fuels because they store energy. See, I was talking about the growing energy need. The world demand for oil rose from 436 million ton in 1960 to 3,200 million tons in 1999. That's the beginning of this century. Coal, 1,043 million tons in 1962, 2,446 million tons in 1999. Same is the case for natural gas, from 187 million tons in 1960 to 2,301 million ton in 1999. Afterwards, almost we have completed 20 more years. Now, the energy demand is much more than what has been said in the year 1999. So, this I have told you, 80% of this energy comes from non renewable energy resources like oil, natural gas, and coal. The problem with these energy resources, we will not be able to easily replace them, or they have taken or they have been formed millions of years. They have taken buried in the sediments, and then turned into gas and oil. So that's the petroleum product or the natural gas that we trap or tap today. So oil and gas, then water form, they move upwards through tiny pores. See source of rock, they move upwards through these tiny pores because uh, oil and gas are lighter than the water, and they are being trapped below this impermeable rock or sediment. This is the oil storage. This becomes the oil storage. And then using long powerful drill, we have to extract them. This is how the petroleum products are and natural gas they are collected. So then once we get the mainly the oil and gases, they are burned to heat water, steam propel the turbine, electricity generation, everything comes from them. The crude oil, what we extract is known as crude oil. It can be converted into jet engine oil, petrol, diesel, and they are used as fuels. But the problem is when you burn this, they release carbon dioxide gas into the atmosphere. And all of you know carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas and is responsible for the global warming. What are the problems of the global warming? And all those things we have already discussed in the last class. Especially all these things, the petroleum products and natural gas, they have been formed something 360 to 299 million years ago in a period what we call Carboniferous period, and they are buried under the old rock layers. Even in the Jurassic period also, that is 201 to 145 million years ago, older rocks, dead plants turned into peat. Peat is nothing but uh, accumulation of partially decomposed organic matters. It may be wood, animals, leaves, anything, microorganism, everything. And they are under pressure and temperature, they are being converted into this fossil fuels. So there will be modern day the pressure, peat turns into coal. Even on the land, this peat turns into coal. In water, they turns into natural gas and uh, petroleum product, but here they even get turned into coal, especially the plants which get buried. All of you know coal is the cheap source of energy, very cheap, used for so many things. But when the coal is burned, there is carbon dioxide, not only carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, all of them enter into the atmosphere and contributing to the air pollution, even responsible not only global warming, even for acid rain also. Even the nuclear energy, what we call, which is also a cheapest form of energy, has certain limitations because they are available in the radioactive materials, say uranium, plutonium. They are the nuclear fuels. They are also available in the earth, but they are limited. But these nuclear fuels do not create any harmful greenhouse gases, very efficient, but the problem is their availability is also very, very limited. You know that these radioactive elements are very, very rare, and even uh, their stock is also depleting at a faster rate. Here, the problem is not the global warming or greenhouse gas, but the problem of disposing the radioactive waste because they are more dangerous and they are to be sealed in lead containers and should be buried for thousands of years, and care should be taken that either groundwater is not never gets contaminated by this nuclear waste. So this is the problem, and they are also have a limited stock. So that's why time has come to think about renewable energy resources. As I have told you, which can be renewed again to again at a faster rate in nature. The examples of such energy resources: solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, biomass energy, geothermal energy, wave energy. There are so many other forms, but they are all non conventional energy resources. So, here that's why the energy resources which can be used to produce again and again are known as renewable energy resources. What are those? What is the advantage of them? First, let's start with solar energy because it is the most popular non-conventional energy resource today. And solar energy is available in large amount to the entire ecosystem, including the earth. If we are able to harness this energy, solar energy, and convert that into mechanical energy or electrical energy, then our dependency on non-renewable energy resources can be minimized. Of course, all plants are nothing but they are the solar plants because plants they carry out photosynthesis in presence of carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight and make their own food, unlike the animals. Suppose, like these plants, if we are able to harness this energy using the solar plates and get converted that into electrical energy. So here, thanks to the lot of developments that is taking in the field of science, especially photovoltaic cells, that have the that can convert the solar energy into electricity. Nowadays, all of us are using solar energy, at least for making hot water for the bath. And in Karnataka, we have the biggest solar park in the world, also in Asia, especially the countries which are very close to the tropic or the tropical countries. We receive maximum sunlight for a longer duration of period and with more intensity. And if we are able to trap very effectively, then the energy crisis or the energy problem will not be there. But unfortunately, though it has materialized, still lot of research is going on. The problem is storage of the energy. Because during the night there is no solar radiation. So then we should be able to store that energy. That's the major disadvantage that we have. Otherwise, it would have been the most uh, cheapest source of energy. And converting the solar energy into electrical energy, though it is not very, very efficient. Suppose if we are able to develop these photovoltaic cells, which can convert the solar energy into electrical energy with 100% efficiency, then also the problem will be solved. So this is the major problem with the solar energy, and a lot of research is Now, another energy which is also a renewable energy is hydro energy, the energy from the water. All of us are very familiar with this because what we get, the electricity that we get in our part is from hydroelectricity or hydro energy, where water is made to fall from height that rotates the turbine and that generates the electricity. Hydro energy. What's happening or in Sharavati power station or in Kali, that's the hydro energy. Hydropower use the energy for moving water for a variety of useful applications. So the hydroelectricity is generated by gravitational force of falling water. So usually rivers are built with dams and water is channelized and it is made to fall on the turbine from the height, and because of the pressure the turbine rotates and that generates the electricity. With- Here water falls on the turbine turns, rotates mechanical energy, then it is being converted into electrical energy here. Then like that we have one more, that is what is known as the geothermal energy. So this is a very interesting thing. So here I have given a small photograph. Temperature in the earth. What is the temperature at the different depths of the earth in degrees Celsius? See, it is depths in kilometer and temperature. Around a depth of 4,000 kilometers in the depth, we have something 400 degrees Celsius temperature. If it is 6,000, we have around 5,000 degrees Celsius. That means earth crust, we have a hot molten lava. If we are able to generate or make use of this geothermal energy, that is very useful in generating the electricity. That is the heat from the earth. Remember, it is a very clean and sustainable source of energy. Sometimes you must have read the hot water springs on the ground also. Here and there is hot water. The spring that comes, it has contained the hot water. And this is because the water is being heated by the geothermal energy. So geothermal energy range from shallow ground to hot water to hot rocks. But unfortunately, this is found few miles beneath the earth's surface. Even down deeper, we have extremely high temperature of molten rock, what we call magna. Sometimes when the volcanic eruption takes place, this molten rock and magma comes out very hot. So if we are able to tap this geothermal heat, again our energy problem can be solved and it is a very clean energy. Nowadays we are doing this. What is done is, from top, cold water is pumped down and steam and hot water from the molten lava that is pumped out. See, like this. And when there's a steam and hot water, through this steam, they can turn the turbine and generate electricity. See, there are certain photographs of power stations where they make use of this geothermal energy. This is a very clean steam, it is. This is a geothermal power station in Iceland. There is the heat energy from the earth. So this heat has been generated since from the formation of this earth, which is something 4.5 billion years ago. Water is pumped down into the hot rock Then this water is heated and the steam can be used to heat the buildings directly or generate electricity by spinning the turbines. Another type of energy, that is what we call biomass energy. What is this biomass energy? Biomass refers to any organic material, plants, animals, anything. There's a growing demand for energy because of the population growth. And even industry is also in demand of greater clean energy, cheaper energy. Biomass is one primary source which can be used to provide this renewable and clean energy. It's also an unending energy resources. Moreover, it helps in the development of socio-economical development of the country. We need not depend on any other country for energy. Biomass. All of you know one of these things. All of you might be knowing about gobar gas. Cow dung is used. A gas, what you call methane, is generated, methane and carbon dioxide, and that is being used as fuel. Methane is a natural marsh gas. But here what happens when the cow dung or any vegetable matter, anything which decomposes, then they produce this methane. And if we are able to trap this methane in a tank like this, then this methane gas can be effectively used for cooking purpose or for energy purpose. This biomass energy has lot of advantages. You can use anything, dead, decaying, anything you can use. And it is renewable energy. No carbon dioxide is emitted because it is stored in the tank and then it is burned. Even it emits less amount of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide than fossil fuels. But there are certain disadvantages also. Low energy density per heat. In the sense, you need large amount of biomass and energy yield will be less. And there is also one fear that if all we started using this biomass, there will be loss of biodiversity, even agriculture food productivity also, because biomass is used to enrich the soil nutrients. So suppose if we are not using that for that and if we start using the biomass directly, then it may affect our agriculture. Uh, this is the major problem. Next one is the wind energy. Wherever there is a scope for, in all places you cannot have wind energy. Where there is a steady flow of wind, there all you can have this wind energy. Where there is a strong hill, especially on clear hilltops, where the blade, turbine blades are propelled by the wind and they generate the electricity. This is also very clean energy. There is no pollution at all. Only thing you have to identify those locations where there's a constant and steady flow of wind. So in Karnataka, you know, if you go to Chitradurga, Davanagere, in the area, so many windmills are there. Here also the energy storage issue because the wind blow or wind flow is not uniform 24 into 7. Sometimes there will be more speed, velocity, wind velocity, sometimes it may be less, sometimes there may not be wind blowing. So that's why, so we need a backup here where we have to, on a low wind days or when the velocity of the wind is low, then we have to store that. Then we should connect that to electric grid and distribute it. So that's why it is practical only in this area where velocity of the wind is enough to propel the propeller. And it is said that sometimes it may be dangerous to the birds because lot of windmills are planted or started in one particular area, and with their long blades they propel 24 into 7. Then they may hit the birds and it may affect the birds. That's the one problem. And yeah, it requires much large land area, and that too in the area where wind velocity is very high. So then even the people are nowadays thinking of generating the energy from the tide, tide and wave energy, what we call, especially in the coastal region where there's an ocean, there will be continuous waves splashing to the coastal region beach. Suppose if we are able to harness this wave force to generate the turbine, or sorry, to um, what you can if it is connected to a turbine and then generate electricity out of it. There are certain areas where you have very high waves continuously. Then these are the places where you can think about the wave energy generation. But the problem here is the waves are not constant. They are changing. At the same time, the high tide and low tide. During the high tide, the waves will become very close to the beach. Again, low tide, they go far away. So, putting these turbines will be difficult, but we have to find out those locations where there is a continuous wave energy is made available, and we have to convert that into mechanical energy, then into electrical energy. Like that, tidal energy. Usually on the seashore, we have two tides, high tide and low tide. So, high tide, the water will come very close to the shore, or most of the area gets submerged. And when during the high tide, if we are able to store this sea water, and during the low tide, if we release it by uh, some channels or by building some embankments and use this water for generating the electricity. This also, in some countries, they have started as a prototype, and even we are also India is also seriously thinking about generating the electricity from this tide and waves. They are also actively thinking in this regard because we have a very vast coastal system, and if we are able to generate this will be the most cost effective energy and without any pollution. Not only that, it will be a very clean energy. So that's why even there are some places where the CSI institutions have uh, installed some of the prototypes of this wind and tide, try to harness this wind and tide. Now the question is, in the last, why we need alternate energy resources? Energy resources energy is a key factor for our growth and development. If we think from economical perspective, these non-renewable energy resources or conventional energy resources won't last longer. As I have told you, there's a fear that we are going to exhaust all our fossil fuels by the middle of this century. Then these non-conventional energy resources will certainly uh, provide new jobs and avenues. So many people can find jobs here. And especially in our country, if I have to say, we are mainly depending on fossil fuels, which we don't have, and we have to spend lot of foreign exchange on them. Major import for our country is the petroleum product. So if we slowly shift from this conventional energy resource to non-conventional energy resources, we can save lot of foreign exchange and we can also generate more cleaner energy, less air pollution, no greenhouse effect, and that's why the time has come to think about this non-conventional or renewable energy resources. Especially la already we have started with the solar parks, that is the solar energy. Wind energy is also very actively done. Biomass energy is done, but as I have told you, the amount of energy that we are able to generate is very very less. It has been limited to some cooking, household cooking, and other things, but not to a great extent. So this is the something about this energy resources. So again to summarize, energy is the key for our progress, but in we are all short of energy. In the sense, we are more depending on the conventional and renewable, non-renewable energy resources, which has to come from somewhere else. So that's why the time has come to think about non-conventional energy resources or uh, renewable energy resources like solar, wind, and all those things, and that will be uh, the energy for the future. So this is what I wanted to share with you. Any doubts, or if you have not followed anything, just you can ask me. So one request, I have seen many of the students join even after half an hour starting the class. So if you want to join, please join in time, because while uh, discussing, if somebody joins, I have to admit them, and it distracts me also, and it is no good when there's a timetable is given that you should be within that time, and you don't have any other work, you are all in the home. ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬರೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಬಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಿಲ್ಲ ಏನಾದರೂ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಿತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ನೌ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಸಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ಬಟ್ ಬಿ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಏನೋ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಹಲೋ, ಹೇಳಿ.
Yes, sir. Yes,
ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ
sir.
ಇದ್ದ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್?